Falling in love can be one of the most exciting and terrifying experiences we go through as human beings. But for an avoidant man, the fear often outweighs the excitement. On the surface, he may look calm, independent, even detached, but beneath that exterior is a whole network of hidden anxieties about intimacy, connection, and vulnerability. Today we're going to explore 8 secret fears an avoidant man carries when he falls in love. By understanding these fears, you can begin to see what's really happening beneath his silence, his mixed signals, or his sudden distance. Losing control. For an avoidant man, control is everything. He spent most of his life learning how to manage his emotions, stay self-reliant, and keep people at a safe distance. Falling in love threatens all of that. Love is unpredictable. It requires surrender and trust, 2 things that feel deeply unsafe to him. Losing control of his emotions or becoming dependent on someone else triggers alarm bells in his mind. Vulnerability for him feels like weakness, and weakness feels dangerous. This is why he often pulls away just when things are going well. It's not that he doesn't care. It's that caring deeply makes him feel like he's losing control of himself. In those moments, he feels torn between 2 strong forces, the pull toward intimacy and the urge to protect himself. The closer he feels to someone, the more his defenses rise, because closeness stirs up old fears of being hurt, rejected, or trapped. What looks like coldness on the outside is often his attempt to survive emotionally, being truly seen. Avoidant men often live behind a carefully constructed mask. They show the world competence, independence, and strength. But deep down, many of them fear that if someone gets too close, they'll see the parts of themselves they've hidden, insecurities, weaknesses, or past wounds. To be loved means allowing someone to see all of you, not just the mask. For an avoidant man, this feels dangerous. What if she doesn't like the real me? What if my flaws are too much? So instead of opening up, he often diverts. He keeps conversations on the surface, avoids deep emotional topics, or changes the subject when things get too vulnerable. It's a defense mechanism to protect himself from being fully exposed. Becoming dependent. One of the strongest beliefs an avoidant man holds is that needing people is dangerous. Many of them learned in childhood that relying on others leads to disappointment or abandonment. So when he starts falling in love and naturally begins to want your presence, your attention, and your care, this terrifies him. The very act of needing someone feels like weakness. To counter this fear, he often insists he's fine on his own. He'll remind you and himself that he doesn't need anyone, even though his actions may tell a different story. This push-pull dynamic is his way of trying to stay safe. Being abandoned. Underneath the armor of independence, many avoidant men carry a deep fear of abandonment. If he opens up and invests his emotions, what happens if you walk away? What happens if you stop loving him? The pain of being left behind feels unbearable to him, and to avoid ever feeling it, he sometimes chooses to detach before you have the chance to hurt him. He may convince himself you'll eventually leave anyway, so it's safer to keep his distance now. This fear often explains why avoidant men sometimes sabotage good relationships. They're not rejecting you, they're protecting themselves from what they believe is inevitable loss. Losing his identity. For the avoidant man, independence isn't just a preference, it's his identity. He prides himself on being self-sufficient, on not having to rely on anyone else to feel okay. Love, however, has a way of merging 2 lives together. That closeness can feel like he's losing himself, his routines, his space, his freedom. This fear is why he often insists on me time or keeps strict boundaries around his independence. It's not necessarily about pushing you away. It's about trying to protect the sense of self he's worked so hard to build. Having his flaws exposed. Love acts like a mirror. When we let someone close, they don't just see the good parts of us, they also see the flaws, the insecurities, and the shadow side we try to hide. For an avoidant man, this is terrifying. If you get close enough, you might see the anger he's suppressed, the shame he carries, or the parts of himself he doesn't like. Rather than risk being fully seen, he distances himself. He may become critical of you, deflect, or retreat into silence. These behaviors are not about you. They're strategies to avoid having his own shadows brought into the light. Failing you. Deep inside, many avoidant men carry a hidden belief that they are not enough, not loving enough, not capable enough, not good enough to meet someone else's needs. This belief often comes from early experiences, times when they felt rejected, overlooked, or pressured to be perfect. Those moments left a lasting imprint, convincing them that no matter what they do, it will never measure up. Falling in love raises the stakes. If he lets you in, there's always the chance you'll discover what he fears most, that he can't give you what you deserve. The thought of being seen as inadequate, of being vulnerable to your judgment or disappointment, can feel unbearable to him. So instead of risking failure, he may hold back. He may keep love at a distance because, in his mind, it's safer to protect his image of strength than to expose his fear of weakness. It's better to stay detached, to appear self-sufficient, than to open up and risk the pain of letting you down. Irreversible change. Perhaps the biggest fear of all, love changes people. Real intimacy forces growth. It requires facing fears, letting go of old defenses, and stepping into vulnerability. For the avoidant man, this kind of transformation feels like a threat. He has survived by avoiding. He has found safety in distance. Love threatens to undo all of that. And yet, part of him longs for it. This is why avoidant men often oscillate. One moment drawing closer, the next moment pulling away. They want the connection, but they fear the irreversible change it will bring. These are the 8 secret fears that haunt avoidant men when they fall in love. Understanding these fears doesn't mean excusing unhealthy behavior, but it does help explain the mixed signals, the hot and cold behavior, and the moments when he seems distant for no clear reason. An avoidant man's silence, withdrawal, or hesitation isn't always rejection. It's often fear. Fear rooted in past wounds, fear of vulnerability, and fear of being hurt again. And here's the important part. These fears are not permanent. With awareness, patience, and willingness to grow, avoidant men can face them. Jung reminded us that the shadow, once acknowledged, becomes a doorway to wholeness. For the avoidant man, falling in love can either be the scariest experience of his life or the most healing one. It all depends on whether he chooses to face the fears that hold him back. So if you've ever wondered why an avoidant man acts the way he does when love gets close, now you know. It's not indifference, it's fear. And like all fears, it can be overcome with courage, compassion, and time.